Okay, so that chicken is cooking. It's the next day. It's January 17th of 2025. And the plot thickens. Okay, so what's going to happen here, people? Because I work on a foundation. When I moved in, I had a legitimate foundation with 2 federal fucking boo-boo trademark names. Okay? I have nothing to prove here outside of I'm a good human being. I was a poor woman, basically a single parent, looking after a blind man that his extended family basically abandoned and ignored. That's why he was with me and the kids. That's why Joan moved over here to be with him, because nobody was looking after Joan in Victoria. But we did. But besides that point, and I went in like probably $50,000, $70,000, $80,000 in debt for everything that I did to try and promote the foundation, park events, worked with kids, the whole 9 yards. On the books, it's probably about $40,000. Last time I checked, it was, I don't know, something around there. And, obviously it's been on the down low, so it's just the bare bones in terms of keeping the website up and paying annual registration fees, and that's it. Right? Right. Thinking about doing a park event, but I think that's out the window this year because, one, I don't have a lot of my equipment anymore. I still have a couple of canopies, but only one table, no coolers, no water jugs, none of that crap because that disappeared. But besides that point, that chicken is fine. It's been cooking all night and it actually smells very good. So, it depends on how fresh it is when it gets put in the bag and how cold you keep it while in the fridge. And I'm not going to be upset because I ordered 2 more because Andre and I were really looking forward to fried chicken, baked chicken with barbecue sauce. And then I wanted to debone one and then just freeze pieces of raw chicken. Because canned chicken in a jar, home can, is different than, raw chicken, right? So, and that would be cut up into pieces for Amari. And then this way I don't have to stress out. And I won't be buying anything for a while when it comes to, like, meats because I have... it not only in the deep freeze, but I also have in cans, like metal cans, corned beef, that kind of thing, plus my home canned goods. So I should be good. So what we're going to do here is, my landlords came by, my landlady with her son, the mean one. I called him mean to his face, too. I told him, I'll be talk right up in your face, right? I'm not talking behind your back here. You should watch my videos. That's what I told him. Oh, well, you're entitled. You think you got the biggest entitlement mentality that, is like on the planet. He didn't say it like that. He says, no, you got it, you got an entitlement mentality. Because, we were kind of, I wouldn't call it arguing, but we were bickering with each other, right? Because, it's pointing fingers, people. And ignoring shit. So let's just listen to this. It's just the recording on a little recorder. I didn't take the camera out to stress anybody out. They know I do videos, right? Crying out loud. They've been on videos in the past with the screeching of the yard, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, whatever. So we're going to listen to this recording because it's, it's part of the saga. And then I will comment on it as we go. I will try to be objective about it, but clearly I'm jaded. And I'm fighting for my life, people. For them, it's nothing. For me, it's everything, right? Because I'm the one that's facing homelessness, not them. My landlady's, I don't remember his name. I can't, Harry or something. But then when I called out Corey's name, he acted like he didn't know Corey. He asked his mom, well, who's Corey? And then she kind of like, I guess Corey is not his real name in terms of the other son to my landlady. Go figure. Because the older son didn't even recognize the name and had to ask his mom who the hell Corey was. And then she spoke, I think, in Punjabi and said it was, your brother, right? He goes, oh. Yeah, oh. Okay, so I already did something and something disappeared. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we're going to listen to this and I'm going to comment on it and try and be as objective as I can in terms of well, not be defensive, I suppose. Although, I'm very defensive over this, people, because I have my own opinions around it, right? I have my own experiences. All right.
Recording? It beeps.
January 17th of 2025. Should be able to hear that. I got a headache brewing. Yeah. Hello, Mrs. Gill. He's chopping everything down.
Huh?
He's chopping everything down. Flowers, everything. Digging them up.
Huh?
He's digging up flowers.
It's okay, it's too much young. So, you don't need these board.
Okay, Mrs. Gill, that helps to keep the weeds at bay. It feeds the dirt, and it helps to keep the weeds. But he's taking most of it. Okay. I have a sense here, you know, everybody's idea of, I suppose, well, I like to call it art, right, to one degree or another, because, you know, it's a big yard. You got to kind of make it, well, for me, like I said, I had issues. I don't want to rehash those issues. And, you know, in their mind, I mean, we're working with two things here. I don't know how long this video is, people, but I ain't stressing out about it, okay? We're going to go through this because you've seen what happened there, right? I came outside, I walked down the stairs, I got to the front of the walkway. We're on the right-hand side. When I moved in, it was nothing but these god-awful, thick, deep-rooted in weeds that just wouldn't go away. I sprayed them with Roundup initially to try and get rid of them. Oh my God. They came back with a vengeance. Literally. There was 2 times the amount after the Roundup. I said, to hell with that shit. I can't do that. I think I even did it maybe twice. I know I did it once for sure, maybe twice. I don't know. But clearly it didn't work because the weeds came back twice as bad. So that's when I started to actually dig them up with a pitchfork, pull them all out by roots, blah, 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 blah. And then I had to tarp it over to prevent them from growing up. And, you know, the root. I had to kill off the roots. I had to kill off the roots by, first of all, digging everything up, and it was a big patch. I'll walk you through it in one day, right? The whole, all the way down from the grass area, all the way down to the road by, oh my God, I don't know, 5 feet by 20 feet maybe? I had to dig that all up with a pitchfork, dig out all those weeds that came back as a vengeance, even though I used Roundup. And then I tarped it over as I was making dirt with those weeds. So, dug them up, put them in a tarp, closed up the tarp, let the tarp start heating up to make dirt from the weeds, okay? And then eventually I ended up, Ciera came with a black felt that was used for movies, a big roll of it. I have some out in the back for the pond, eh? Anyway, I laid a whole lengthful to cover up those weeds because it was impossible. I don't know what the hell was going on there. And then from there, I had to cover that up. So then I transplanted blueberries from the back to the front. So that's how the blueberries got in there, right? And then, you know, more weeds. So either or. Okay. So through that process, to cut back on even, you know, whatever, I would put stumps, wood stumps, in between versus having it just a flat area, because one part I did plants, built a little brick garden bed That's how the raspberries got in there, right? Planted the blueberries. That's how they got in there. But that was after I did everything first. Have videos on that, people. And then further down, I went to other people's properties that were being torn down, gathered up on the really tiny, teeny, weeny ornamental rocks. You can't really call them gravel rocks. They're gravel rocks, but they're the round ones and multicolor, right? Got them from the little house when I had the little house, as they were tearing down the little house, right? And loaded them up and brought them here and spread them out on that one area over that black felt to give it aesthetics. And then that's when the stumps went in there, just to break it up. Otherwise it just would have been nothing but teeny weeny little gravel rocks with, you know, and then I took a few plants here and there, kind of plucked them in and just whatever, right? And I mean, it was okay for a while, but, you know, through nature, more weeds fly in from the birds and the wind, and then you get more weeds growing and whatever, and Ciera was putting flowers in there and bringing dirt in there, which was ruining the rocks, and, you know, so in the meantime, the stumps were there, and so that was what she wants. She wants me to remove the stumps. Okay. So I'm like, and he's complaining about them too. He wants flat. Why can't your yard be like everybody else's yard? Flat. Well, my yard wasn't like everybody else's yard. My yard was a weedy yard, and I had big problems, and I didn't know what to do with them, and I did what I thought was best. So, to give the dude credit, in terms of looking at it from his perspective, in terms of art, he would prefer to have a patch of teeny weeny little ornamental gravel rocks all laid out nicely to cover up the weeds, per se, we'll just say, right? Because I don't think he wants weeds, right? With a border to keep the rocks in, which is already there. The borders are already there, assuming that my son hasn't removed them. And, you know, a few plants here and there, flowers or something. Now I get chamomile growing there. Hopefully my son didn't rip them up and ruin them, because they're beautiful, right? So in that situation, I can see what he sees by removing the stumps. When I think of Mrs. Gill, I don't see that from her eyes as I do. I see when she tells me to do that, because she requests the same thing, get rid of those, you know, stumps, right? I see it like business, where she can make more money because it puts a false perception in terms of value, because it's money. It represents money. Him, I didn't get that feel from him. I got it more like, you know, you're a seamstress, Judy. You worked with a lot of dancers that had different ideas about what looked good and what didn't look good, and everybody had their own style, and, you know, you make one costume and you have that one costume for 5 years, and it just takes that one girl to buy that one costume that she loves dearly and is so happy to have it. But it took 5 years to get there, to find that one girl. That's the kind of, I suppose, light bulb moment that I got when he said, move the stumps. You know, make your yard look like other people's yards. And all I could see was more like a cut and dry cut of the cloth, if that makes sense. Where if that was nothing but little teeny weeny gravel rocks with a few plants in there. Well, you're not going to see them now because it's wintertime, right? He would be extremely satisfied and would probably find it pleasing to his eye. Where my landlady would be just kind of like less mess. For him, yeah, maybe it's messy, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm not suckholing here, okay? I'm just trying to see it from his eyes, where if he had to work in the yard, what would he do to solve the weed problem? And what paraphernalia that you would use to cover up the weeds? I used movie set felt after I de-weeded and made dirt out of the weeds, which took a while to do. It was a long time, really, to do all that, to dig that. Those weeds were deep with the, oh my God, you don't even know. And I laid in borders. I brought in bricks from other people's properties as they were being torn down. And we're talking like these bricks are like $6, $7 a piece. Nobody wanted them, though, because they were garbage, right? And I made a nice little, garden bed, I guess you could say, and that's how the raspberries got in there, to which my landlady loves. She likes to get right into the middle of it, right, with the blueberries and the raspberries, and I'm like, holy crap, were you crawling right in there? Let me move the raspberry. Let me bust them off at the bottom. No. Leave me. And she pushing, and she just nestles herself right in there like a little bird. I'm serious, people. And I'm like, okay, Mrs. Gill, just do what you want, take what you want. I can't even see them, Mrs. Gill, anymore. So enjoy yourself. Okay, so I'm trying to see it from his, even though he's being he's starting off as a dickhead. I'm like, okay. I'm trying to I'm at that. Oh my God, this video is going to take so long. I'm at that transitional stage where, I'm handing over the reign to my son, who has a different style. Kind of like my landlady's son. Because I suppose they're men. And they would have different styles. Right? Women like to dress up in frilly, shiny, that kind of stuff, right? Clothes. Where men, they like their clothes nice, straight cut, little baggy, or nice suit with the tie. Right? They have a completely different idea of what looks good. And whereas my landlady, she's been a property owner for so long, wheeling and dealing with the bigwigs as a business, that before she sees the quote unquote art of anything, she's looking at a business perspective. But then on the other hand, her little child kicks in when she comes to the yard and she's climbing the plum tree, burying herself in between raspberry and blueberry bushes, picking, when she used to come and get her bounties, whether they were vegetables, potatoes, zucchinis, beets, whatever it was, right? In those days, right? So, okay. So that's the first thing, because, I'm helpless to do anything really that much. And I told you, I got maybe one more year if I'm lucky to do anything in this yard. Okay. After that, I have to hand over the reins completely. Okay. But I'm not going to be walked on all over and spit on and treated like trash when I gave up my life for this yard. And that's just a fact. So, of course, I'm going to get a little, when, hold on a minute. Okay, that was my son checking to see if the bin's here. The bin's not here. It has to come. It was supposed to be here to 8:30, but I guess it's being delayed. So it's going to be here at noon, so they're coming back at noon. Whatever. So anyway, just, because, I'm thinking, okay, you just see it in a different kind of way, right? Now, as I'm talking to him, though, I'm looking down at the corner of the road here, and I see they got their sign back up to sell this house next door. So they're doing prep work for the big fish to come to buy all three properties at one time. Mark my words, definitely. Oh yeah, they're not saying that, right? Instead, they're trying to guilt trip me, because I have an entitlement mentality. Okay. So anyway, let's just listen a little longer. Wait. Some of it you need to feed the dirt, Mrs. Gill. You have. So now I'm fighting to build up the dirt because it's dead dirt. It was all dead dirt for the most part on this landfill. Landfill is dead dirt. Nothing can grow in landfill. Landfill is the dirt under the dirt. You got soil where grass grows on. You need something like 6 inches of soil before you can have healthy grass. Anything else under the soil would be considered landfill. That's what this yard is mostly. Yeah, landfill. That's what that backyard was all about. It was nothing more than landfill. Take off the sand, take out the rocks, and you're getting into landfill. Okay? The only way you can make nice soil is to have mulch, and mulch comes from wood and, that kind of stuff, right? But that's not what they're interested in. But besides that point, to feed the plants, you have to feed the ground.
It's okay.
I mean, he'll take some.
Just get rid of everything.
What do you mean, get rid of everything?
All this,
Just
get rid of it.
Get rid of what?
All this junk.
What junk? That's wood. He's being ambiguous. We're looking at stumps in an area that I covered up, overgrowth of weeds, to the best of my ability. Oh my God. Okay.
Hey, it's junk. Okay, Judy, just get it through your head. This is the last time we're warning you.
Okay, so do you see how he's putting the full onus and burden on me? Okay?
We're bringing the container here. Just get rid of everything, okay? Just like normal yard.
Okay, when he said normal yard, I'm like, normal? What is normal? If I take you over there, you're going to see people that are always out in their yard doing shit, okay? And have this, and this. A little maybe more organized because they had more time, or who knows, money, who knows. There's two of them that work together all day, every day. My other neighbor across the way, she's been there for 20 years. She's got it on, on lockdown. She knows exactly what she's doing, how to fucking do it. She's got all the weeds gone, her grass is immaculate, but yet she's still being evicted from her house as soon as the landlord wants to either re-rent it out at a higher rate, as he's telling her, no, I'm tearing it down, but she's suspicious about that, as he's evicting those 6 other houses, all at one time, so he can start with his building of buildings. So either he's kicking her out to rent it out at a higher rate, and he's lying to her, or he's finally kicking her out along with the other 6 houses so that he can tear all 7 houses down to build something that nobody can afford to live in. Okay? And she's 70. And she can't afford to either rent or purchase whatever it is that they built over here for 55 and over. Not that she would want to live in it. So she's facing homelessness, and she's 70. And her yard is immaculate. And the landlord is giving her 6 months, saying, you got 6 months left. It's time to get out, along with the other 6 houses. As he's fixing things, which makes her think that maybe he's trying to kick her out so that he can raise the rent, versus actually tear down the houses. And he's been holding that over her head for 2 years. Yeah. Hold on a minute. Okay, so the point is, it doesn't matter if your yard is immaculate and you're a renter. Okay, the woman over there has been over there for 25 years, working in the yard, and it's immaculate. In the back, it's like a wonderland. But yet, as the property developers are tearing up all the buildings, all the houses, digging up old septic tanks, seriously, where they're coming up through her backyard now, the boards and everything, right? And, you know, there's a smell every now and then. And the trees are falling down because they're of the root rot that's coming in from all the water problems that are accumulating in the yard because of what all these property developers are doing. She's still out there keeping that yard immaculate. Okay? Like, honest to God, I don't even think you'd find one weed on her grass. How she finds the time to do it, but she does. So, but did it get her anywhere after 25 years? No, it's getting her an eviction, people. With no affordable housing. And the few places where she put an application in, there's too many people putting in the same damn application where she's just not getting it. And he's got her down to 6 months and the rest of the 6 houses in a row with different incomes, right, between the houses in terms of some are on welfare, some are working, or whatever it is. They're all renters, people. They're all fucking renters. You figure 2 suites per house times 7, that's 14 different families with multiple people living within those suites. That's a lot of people to be evicting out at one time with the perfect yard, okay? This woman has the perfect yard. It got her absolutely nowhere. So when they come and they use the yard against me as if it was my responsibility to prop up their property value so that they can make more money to sell their house, because that sign there is like right at the end of the corner there, this guy over here wants to sell. That guy, as soon as this one sells, they're all three, they're gone to the big fish. Okay? And the cycle will just start all over again. You could be outside 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 5 years straight, and it would never be enough for these people. Right? Because at the end of the day, you're out the door when they don't need you anymore. When they sell the house, tear down the house, or kick your ass out so they can raise the rent by $1,000, $2,000, and then call that good business. Try and say that to him, the man that was outside today, standing there talking to me like he is. In ear, one ear, out the other, as he's accusing me of being entitled. No, I'm fighting for my life. The lives of my family, the ones that have remained. Poor people can't buy organs. Rich people can. Middle class, upper middle class people can. That's what they do. Hell, they'll go as far as flying out of the country, buy those organs someplace else, maybe even have them transplanted there, and then come back to the country. So why pay the airplane fee to go get organs and to have them transplanted into your body when you can set up the system here in your own freaking district? Huh? Through that organized crime syndicate that uses tax dollars to do it and the government to cover it up. See, I don't think he understands my fight is bigger than what he thinks it is. He thinks I'm just fighting for the fucking yard or the house or whatever. No. I'm fighting more than that, people. I'm fighting more than that for that. That's just whatever. And, like, seriously, okay, let's just carry on.
Other people, you don't need a tree to feed it.
So, I don't know how old he is, 55, something like that. He's getting gray. He's really got white hair now. He's starting to look one of like those old men in the temple with their... Only he wasn't doing that, but he's got that white beard coming, right? Because he's Punjabi and they like to let it grow when they have their turbans through their religion. You know, so I'm assuming his hair under the turban is white as his beard, and his beard is getting kind of long, right? No, I mean, this is year, so we'll put him at 55, you know, maybe in around that age, unless he whited up early in life through stress. I don't know how old he is really, but either or, like, what property owner doesn't know about how dirt is made? You want dead dirt? Don't feed it. You want healthy, robust dirt? You have to feed it. And what's the first thing you feed it? Wood.
Okay? You just
Well,
make
how
up
do you
stuff.
think dirt is made?
Yeah, how do you think every other yard is done? Okay,
I can take you down there and you can see a yard that is got shit in front of their house. They got planter pots and this and that, and she puts out ornaments, and across the street, they put their little white picket fence with their little, what is that, cottage, and their rose bushes with little this, that, and little dangly things, and it's okay for them, but not for me, right? Whatever. Whatever. Again, I did the best I could under really bad situation with limited resources.
I don't want to argue with you. If I argue with you, we're going to have an issue. So don't argue with me right now.
I'm not trying to argue.
Okay, don't
with you.
argue. Just get rid of everything. We don't want issues.
Well, my son will...
So they're very ambiguous. Get rid of everything. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's a pretty broad statement, don't you think? Get rid of everything so the weeds can come back as a vengeance, and then you're going to come back and say it's too fucking weedy. Okay. And then, yeah, okay, just...
do whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know what you want.
Don't start making excuses like that has to stay because of dirt. Let us talk.
Don't make excuses because that has to stay because of dirt. When my son phoned, I said, okay, I'm trying to see it from a man's perspective here, from your perspective and his perspective, right? And I'm trying to see it from a costume maker's perspective. I really am, people. Like, I'm trying to dig deep into my soul here and say, okay, now you're dealing with a bunch of male strippers that have a different kind of fucking style here, right? And you gotta be sympathetic to that, and you gotta be sensitive to their needs. And get in touch with whatever it is that they see as calming, I suppose, right? And I said, okay, he doesn't want those stump woods, no problem. I have no problem with that, people, because I got rocks all over this yard. We can just throw in more gravel rocks in there, or whatever, or throw in some freaking poppy flowers in the spring, just get some seed packets and just throw it all in there, right? Because Ciera used to come and throw dirt in there and put plants in there. So all my little pebble rocks are pretty much disappeared. But, if you came in with a few packets of poppy seeds and, little flowers that pop up here and there, just sprinkle them around in the spring, a whole bunch of them, 5 packs of flowers. You're going to, boom, it's going to be full of fucking flowers, more than likely. As long as you water it. Something's going to catch and take root, right? The weeds are still going to come, though. That's the thing, though. I can't see the weeds anymore, people. I can't see them. I can't see the roots. I can't distinguish between the different plants. It's too hard. But besides that point, I just told my son when he called to, he wants them out. Fine, no prob. Just take your chainsaw, chop them up into little pieces, right? Throw them into that wood pile that's out in the front that needs to be moved. And then we'll disperse it throughout the yard after the fact when everything is done. Okay? So it's not like I'm trying to work against him. Right? What do I care? Outside of, I don't want to be dealing with weeds, especially now that I can't even see them, people. I have to bring it right up to my eye to try and to distinguish what I'm looking at in terms of the type of leaf as to what it is. Anyway.
Your son, he understands, he's smart.
Oh, yeah.
You live in another dimension.
I live in another dimension. Do you know?
I lived in their dimension, in their yard, with a whip on my back. That's the dimension that I lived in. Okay? As my province was conspiring to set up poor people for failure even more than what I was already facing prior to the housing corruption, so that they could have their backroom deals with organized religion and organized partner groups with the harvesting of body parts, so they don't have to jump on a fucking airplane and fly to Cambodia to go get a kidney. All they have to do is put their order in, if they're a real crook, and the hood rats in the community will make sure that the body ends up dead like ShaMay, and the hospital will take care of the rest while the doctors are dealing and wheeling with their freaking suitcases full of money in the gurney. Oh yeah, that's a whole nother fucking dimension. I can prove that ShaMay has an orifice plug in the back of her mouth, people. I can prove that ShaMay's eyes caved in. And then all of a sudden, they had eye caps in them because they became all of a sudden real rounded. As her face was fucking falling off, with little electro pads underneath the skin. I can prove all that shit. Even if I prove it, people will, oh no, you know, that's not, I don't know, you don't see what, I don't see what you see. Well, yeah, because you're not going to admit that your people, the ones with money, the ones with the long beards that want to have a long life, are buying fucking organs on the black market in the province of British Columbia, Canada. And then when they, ones that are getting the money for that service, because it's a service, they take that money and they invest it into these fucking buildings, people. Or wherever else some kind of property. If they're not building houses for themselves, they're monster homes, they're building the fucking buildings as they're pushing out more and more people so that more and more people can disappear off the streets, die by any means necessary, right? And become that supply without having to fly out of the country to get the supply because it's already made in the country. Not to mention the ego that goes around this whole situation where, you know, the people that facilitate this kind of crap think that they're better than everybody else and they're God's gift to the planet. And only they are entitled to have a good life and everybody else is whatever. Hard this was to work in this yard for 14 years. I know exactly. Do you know how hard it was to work in this yard? That's what I said to him. He said, I don't care. You don't care.
Yes. Okay, you're giving these guys a heart attack.
Ooh.
My mom, guys.
And I haven't had a heart attack?
I don't care about you.
Well, I know you don't care, but I...
Neighbors, they don't like it.
Yeah.
They always... We got so many times the city guys.
It was a very hard... It was full of sand, weeds and mud. But I guess that didn't matter, right?
No. Just we wanted... Just want a nice, easy life for my parents.
I want an easy life, too.
My concern is not you. They've given you so much. Believe me.
Okay.
Right? You should be very grateful.
I am grateful.
Then let your son take care of it. Don't get involved. Because if
I can't see anymore. You know that, right?
I don't know.
No, I'm blind.
You see me. You're looking.
Okay. I have, at some point this year, in the next couple of 2-3 months, the eye specialist is going to see if I still have 13% vision in this eye. Or if I've lost more octave nerves. Okay? We know that the cataract lens really screwed me over. Made everything really, really blurry. And every day my eyes are getting worse where it's getting brighter and things are blending more together. Because I'm losing... more color, see less, not that I could see that much anyway, and it's just, I don't know how to explain it, people, like, it just, everything's blending together, and then throw in being blurry, and cloudy, foggy, oh my god, this eye had 2%, right, 13%, 2%, he's gonna give me an eye check to see if it dropped, to see if this one's still sitting at 2%. But he's already warned me that this one will probably go completely black at some point. If I cover my eye, I can see a little bit over here of something, right? If I didn't know what it was, because I know that this is here, right? So if I look, well, I can, as it's moving, I can kind of see something moving, but I can't see the shells. The only thing that gets me through in life is this eye. But this eye is fucked, okay? I can barely see out of it anymore because of the stress that the eye doctor did by changing the cataract lens, okay? Because that really messed it up. And then that rotor-rooter thing, I don't think it worked. But besides that point, so because I can still kind of see and obviously function to one degree or another, people just assume that I'm okay. Yeah, I said it before. Right? Not realizing how blind I really am.
Right on.
I'm called legally blind. Legally blind. 14 years, 12 years. Last 2 years I couldn't do much. Mrs. Gilden, you know I can't even see blueberries.
You need rest.
I need what?
You need rest.
Well, you know I can't even see blueberries, Mrs. Gill.
It's okay. We can buy from the store.
But you know I can't see blueberries. That's not why she comes here, people. Of course, she can buy... She doesn't have to go to the store. She can go to the fucking farms. Okay? She comes so that she can be free and get in touch with her child and forget all her problems and just enjoy herself and be at peace. That's why she does it. That's why I say, go nuts, Mrs. Gill. Do what you want. Take as much as you want. I don't care. I can't even see them anymore anyway. And the bushes are big now, and she loves it. Right? Just like with those plums. You know, you want to climb the tree. Oh, my God. Well, okay, I'll just stand here. Don't touch me. Okay, I won't touch you, but if you fall, I'll catch you, and I'll make sure I hit the ground first before you ever would. So she'd climb the tree and just be a little girl. Right? It's not because she doesn't want to buy them. She just wants to be free. You know I can't see.
Yeah.
I gave you my life and soul for this place.
You didn't give us anything.
I did.
My mom, guys, listen,
I have 12 years of
Now
video
he's-
yard work.
Listen
Now
to me.
he's in charge
Yeah,
for that.
listen to me. I talked to him before, too. You're getting a great deal.
I know
Right?
that,
So
but...
don't...
Okay, I move in. Take the house now before you leave. Stay as long as you want. We'll never raise the rent. Okay, Joan, what do you want to do? Well, we better take it. Okay, I took it. Along came spring, and then I moved into the yard. All right. And then along came the housing corruption, and rents just started to go nuts. People were being evicted from their houses. Reno evictions, right? Became popular among these property developers and homeowners. Easy to kick out tenants to renovic, right? And then jack up the price $1,000, $1,500, or whatever the hell it is, right? Easy to build a case against you against a yard where technically you're not responsible for, so they can kick your ass out and then double the rent, if not triple it, after you move out. That is not a good deal, people. That is being gang-stalked for profit, okay? And this is where I have to file a lawsuit, and I have to take it to the province, and I have to take it to the city. I have no choice, unless, of course, I want to be a victim to this process and have my family forever be victims to this process, okay?
Don't argue.
We're also in
Don't
the
argue.
height of corruption
I don't
in
give
the
a shit.
province of British. Exactly, he doesn't give a shit. Because in his mind, whatever corruption is going on, the government is responsible for it and should, he'll tell you, should house me because I'm blind.
Yeah, I mean, you live in another dimension. You think everything should be given to you.
No, I don't. Given to me. Yeah, okay. What I'd like given to me is an opportunity to look around for another house, not because I don't care about my landlady, Mrs. Gill, because I do care about her, people. I have a relationship with her, right? She filled a little void in me. My mother's dead. My grandmother's dead. You know what I'm saying? I have no brothers and sisters. Uncle John got medically kidnapped. Really, the only person I really do have is Mrs. Gill outside of my family. So, you know, but I have no opportunity to move my family into a different environment which would be better for my family. Not because I don't like Mrs. Gill or I love the yard to one degree or another because I've invested so many years into it. It's just too much work and I can't keep up with it. And there's things that need to be repaired properly, like the porch or whatever, or the fence, where, you know, I just don't have the stamina to try and keep it patched together with fucking gray tape. Right? Never mind see anything out there. But I'm going to give it my last year out in the back and a little bit in the front for the creative part of it, but I'm going to try and look at it from a male's perspective, if that makes sense. Right? I'm going to try and be a costume designer for men versus for women. Right? In terms of, I don't know. So, what was I going to say? I need a different kitchen for Amari. I need a proper laundry room for Amari. I need a rumpus room for Amari, me, and Andre, where the three of us can basically live in it. Where Amari has a better space to roll around on a king-size bed, basically on the floor, with bean bags so that he doesn't hurt himself, because he likes to sit up, he tries to stand up, he moves himself around. So I need that, right? And then I need, because, that king-size bed takes up a fair amount of room, I would need a couch over there and an easy chair over there, and quite possibly a single mattress over there among whatever's along the walls in terms of bookshelves and TV and all that crap. And then eventually, whatever kitchen I have, it won't matter to me because I won't be able to see it anyway. But I need a functioning kitchen for Amari, because the types of foods that is required to feed to him in terms of the puree food and that type of thing, right? So even if I could get half of that by moving into a different house, then that would be better. But they don't even give me half a chance, these people, as a collective. Not Mr. and Mrs. Gill and their sons and whoever, but as a collective, as a Punjabi collective, they don't even give people like me a chance anymore. At least when I moved in at this house, there was a chance to go look at another house, and then, pick the house that I wanted. But they kind of gave me an ultimatum, so I took this house, and then because of whatever, I buckled down. I did what I had to do that I thought was the right thing to do. And, it took away my life, and it took away parts of my life that I'll never get back, like sewing and all this other crap. It set me up to be targeted as the corruption was creeping in, and people got addicted to the money even more than they already were. And and then Amari and just my kids and just the whole 9 yards, people. Like, it's not about being entitled. If you don't want me here, then go talk to your people and make it where there's affordable housing, and don't depend on the government to house me or my kids or my son. Make it so that we can afford to have housing. Right? But you see, that's not the agenda. The agenda is to amass great wealth for themselves, basically, so they can build more houses for themselves, monster homes, and invest into these properties with these buildings as they wait for the government to bring in the immigrants with the subsidies to put the people into those buildings so that they can eventually get paid. Or they stay as ghost buildings so that, the way they got it out there in the back, they took out all the blackberries, they fenced it off, they've got it dark with that building because nobody really lives in it. And then they got these, this hospital truck rolling up. So if somebody jumped out, 2 men jumped out and grabbed somebody, they're not hustling and bustling and fighting into the blackberry bushes, trying to struggle with somebody that doesn't want to be thrown into that fucking cab. No, because they cut them all back, people, got rid of them, so it's an easy peasy scoop to solve the homeless problem. Yeah, so when you're sitting here at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're hearing someone screaming out in the fucking alley, as if I'm going to go around through the back, through the front, bumbling through here, tripping over this, getting into the alley, looking in the dark with my little teeny flashlight. By the time I get out there, whoever's being attacked by whoever will either be dead or long gone. Right? Even if I was to come and open up this door and run down the steps and run out, the way I see, it's dangerous for me. Never mind coming across, God knows what I'm going to find when I find the victim to those screams. Okay?
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
I believe in fairness.
I'm telling you, fairness is what... What is fairness for them?
I don't know. He always using his parents being old and they can't do the yard. They've never done the yard, people. Right? And that I'm taking advantage of them. He tries to use that card. But you're the one that's putting me into homelessness. Your kind. Right? Your kind. You as a collective. Right? The ones that think like you.
Yeah, their fairness is getting full
rent. Getting full rent. I pay full rent. And they're slowly but surely squeezing me out. But in his mind, full rent now, after the corruption is taken deep-rooted It's deeply rooted. The corruption, okay, has deeply rooted. He wants, like I said, $4,800 a month. 28 for up on top, 2,000 for the bottom. If they can get it, they will fucking get it because of everything else in the yard. Why is it 2,800? Well, I don't know. You've got beautiful walkways. You've got a greenhouse. You've got like 4 or 5 sheds to access. You've got garden beds. That's why we're charging $2,800 a month. Don't worry. Take it. Take it now. We'll never raise the rent. Stay as long as you want. They won't tell you that the place is up for fucking to be tore down. They'll just get you in if they think that you can pay the $2,800 for the top floor. Right? Right? I'm just saying, that's right. They tell you half truth. This guy's telling half truths to pay full rent. I'm already paying full rent. You just don't like the fact that I came in at $1,550 and it's taken this long to get me at $2,150. Or no, now it's going to be $2,250 because she increased the rent in January 1st. And it wasn't even 2 weeks later before the city was called on me. So that he can threaten me and say, this is the last time. You don't pay full rent. When a year and a half ago or whatever the hell it was, he wanted $3,500 and threatened to bring in his bin if I didn't give him $3,500. Or at least kick out my son. So that he could rent out the basement so he could get his $3,500. No, he wanted me to pay $2,200 and then he would have rented out the basement for $2,000. So he would have gotten $4,200. Do you see how that works? Instead, I guess a year and a half ago we were paying $1,950. Then it went to $2,050, and then within 8 months it went $2,150, and now we're at $2,250. And my income hasn't gone up. As I'm now having to pay a $350 fucking fine from the city because they do not provide annual spring cleanup for homeowners. Whether they're homeowners that live in their houses or whether they're homeowners that rent out their houses. It's corruption. It's corruption and you know it, but you won't accept. So this is where I have to file this lawsuit and really pinpoint where the corruption is. Because just like there's a whole lot of finger pointing going on here with me, with most of those fingers pointed at me, you know, they're pointing, you know, it's the government that fuels the corruption that allows us to do what we do. So because we are allowed to do what we do, therefore what we do doesn't become corruption. Because the government wants us to build these buildings. So if it creates en masse homelessness, that's where the corruption is. I have to figure this out. Where it's no disputing it. In words. You go from 1,500 to 4,000 because you can snap your fingers.
Yeah.
And you all... Yeah. Yeah. Did you hear that? Yeah. Do it, and because you all do it, it makes it right while you kick people out, right?
Just because you can't?
Just because you can't do it, that's what he's saying. Just because you can't snap your fingers, charge $1,500, and then 10 years later, jack it up to $4,000 because everybody else is doing it, even though it's creating mass homelessness. Just because you can't do it, me. Because I founded a nonprofit and took my money and invested it into a nonprofit because I was a welfare mother with 5 dependent children, right, who basically got kicked off of welfare with no, in the middle of winter, looking after Uncle John, a blind man. But I was obligated to continue working on the foundation. So all my money went into the foundation to draw people in for, you know, the good fight, universal school meal program, youth programs, elderly programs, housing programs, whatever programs people wanted to do in the province and so on and so on. Somehow, I can't do it in terms of be a ruthless landlord.
Right? Remember, all you're allowed is to have upstairs. Down.
Okay, did you see that? Remember? Because he came to the house, told me to evict my son, right? Empty out the basement and then pay $2,500 for the top floor because he was going to take out the basement and use the basement for himself or rent it out or whatever. Remember, all you're allowed? Well, no, I moved in with a family. This is a family. You can't evict half a family from a fucking house. Like, how do you do that, people? And then say that's not corrupt. You're going to do a half a reno evict? Is that it? You kick out half the house because you're going to renovate the other half, and then you're going to jack the rent up by $2,000 because you evicted people so that you can renovate and then re-rent it out to somebody else for 3 times the amount? Well, the original tenants lived there with their family members out on the street, kind of like what happened to Ciera. Just get out on the streets. Don't worry. You know, the government will look after you. We know how the government looked after Ciera. They lured her to her death. Put her in a fucking snuff movie. Oh, I live in another dimension. No, I got video proving that it was a freaking corner that was a robotoid with motherboards in her hair. Only exposure can show that. But of course, take it to court, and what? They're going to hide it. They're going to throw it away because they're the bigwigs. They got the money. Only they can do it because they got the money. I can't do shit because I have no money.
Upstairs is a gift.
The upstairs is a gift. Take the house now. Stay as long as you want. We'll never raise the rent. And now it's a gift. Like, I don't know what to say about this, people.
Because mom guys care about your son.
Because my mom does care about your son. And I'm sure she does. Because she was free. In a god-awful world of God knows what. Maybe not as much as she wanted to be when she was running around in this yard in the good old days. But there were moments in there, people, where she felt safe. And you can't buy that. You see, that's the thing. You just can't.
Because he's nice. If he was an asshole, he would be out of here.
He's an asshole to me.
Yeah, he should be.
Did you hear that? Did I not tell you? They're going to try and turn him against me and encourage him to be an asshole against me so that they can milk him to, I don't know what, look after their yard? As they'll come next year still saying that we don't pay enough money? And that we only have half a house? And that whatever other half we do have, or don't have, or whatever, is nothing more than a gift? I don't know. Oh my God, man. I don't fucking know.
Because you're not all there.
I'm not. You know, once they sell this house, this problem will be gone, you know, for them, eh? They're going to get their $3 million, people. They paid $172,000 for this fucking house in 1992. That was their mortgage, $175,000 in 1992. I've been here since 2010. I have already paid that. Okay, in terms of money. The exact dollar amount, I don't know. I just know I've already paid that. I've already paid out their mortgage. Right? Now, whether they second mortgage or whatever, or whether they're sitting on either or, they want $3 million. So what's the profit margin from $175,000, which I've already invested into this house through rent, times how many times do you have to pay that to get $3 million? All there. Yeah. I like how you people abuse me, but I'm the one that's been out 14 years that even made the sheds, the greenhouse,
you're the only,
gardens.
Yeah,
right?
Look at this. This is...
What? It's like, winter time. Everything's dead.
This is like garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see how he's talking to me? Look at this. We're standing in the fucking fog at 8 o'clock in the morning. Ice crystals everywhere with dead plants. Right? You know, everything's gray. Right? and he's calling it all garbage. Because it's wintertime. You like to come at wintertime and do it when it's dead. No grass, nothing blooming, no flowers, nothing green. It's got to be gray so that you can say that to me.
Whatever. I've been here summer. I've been here.
Oh, and then it's too green.
Yeah.
I've had the city. Yeah, I've had the city come because it was too green. Have that on video too. Come and say it's too green then. So it's never enough.
Just this last chance.
Well, you know what? I can't see anymore.
Yeah, that's your always. You always have an excuse.
I always have an excuse.
Go live in a home.
Go live in a home. That's like my landlady. Go to the government and go on subsidized housing. Let the government take care of you. They take that to the temple. One says it, they all start to say it. And then once they convince themselves that they can wash their hands from the problem that they helped to create, it just gets worse and worse and worse. My neighbor invested 25 years of her life to make an immaculate yard for the homeowner, to which the homeowner is kicking her ass out soon with 6 other houses all at the same time, 14 independent households between the 7 houses. And for what? So he can get rich. Well, half of them are facing dire homelessness. Because there's no affordable housing. But you can't put too many out into the streets at one time, because then people would start talking. So the more that go missing and disappear or die, and that in that interim, the better it is for the traffickers of human body parts, because it's a system.
The government will pay for everything.
See, you're putting it on the government. So therefore, I have to sue the government. I have no choice, people. When I say I have to file a lawsuit against the government, I have no choice. I have to bring in the government.
Old folk home. Everything will be taken care of. You'll be fed.
Go into an old folks home. Everything will be taken care of. You'll be fed. Put your grandkids into foster care. Well, at least one of them, Amari, right? Andre, he can stay with Marcane and tough it out. But Amari, it's going to be kind of hard for Marcane to do it, especially if he's facing homelessness after he gets kicked out of this house. Because once they get rid of me, they're not going to keep Marcane, okay? They're not.
Everything.
Right.
If you're gonna live
that's
here,
like because he won't be paying enough rent, because he's in the past. He's paying, the rent that's just in terms of, this is your rent. It's a new year. We can only charge you 3% by law increase. We can't reno-evict you, because that might cause a problem, right? We can't use the yard against you anymore because everything's flat grass and flat weeds, so you can't use that against him. Subsidized housing.
Don't complain then.
About what? My son ripping up the yard?
Yes. Yeah.
And then you'll have a bunch of weeds. You promise me you won't come and complain about weeds, right?
As long as the grass is cut, your son's taking control.
I'm glad he is. It's about time. I've been asking for years for help, just like I've been asking you guys to help me.
Why would we help you?
I don't know. It's your yard.
Yeah.
It was always your responsibility to do your yard.
Pay the freaking rent.
See? I've been here 14 years, never missed a fucking day, like a month in rent, right? Paid my rent for 14 years, put 12 years of my life into that yard, and now because they can get $4,500, $4,800 for this house, they think I'm not paying my rent because it's going up a little at a time by law. If they could have gotten rid of me last year, they wouldn't be getting now $2,250, because it just jumped by $100 this month, but now I'm having to pay for all this other shit. Besides that point, if they could have gotten rid of me last year, they'd be getting well over $4,000, $4,500, $4,800 for this place. Yeah. That's what he means by rent. Forget everything. Just get with the now. Get with the current market value. He's using the current market value against me, where it's not my responsibility to play catch up to that market value that was built on corruption that he's in denial of. And there's no talking to him because he doesn't see it like that, people. Because all he sees is dollar signs in front of his eyes. That's it. He wants to cash in as much as he can cash in before he finally washes his hands of this property and throws me out. Because once he sells it and walks away, he doesn't care what happens to me, and he already knows. And he can't pawn me off onto the government as he puts my grandson, Amari, into foster care, because that's the government's responsibility. Yeah. And this is what he's teaching his kids. So it becomes generational, which ends up becoming a generational curse for me, because I'm dealing with fucking demons here. And there's a whole lot of fucking demons, because only demons do this kind of shit. What do demons like most? Money, 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 money. What's going to happen when his mom dies? Is the real demon going to come out and show itself? Will the real demon please stand up? Is that when he's going to go in for the fucking kill? No excuses? Last warning? Oh, there won't even be a warning. That will be it. So what? Is he waiting for his mom so he can just take control and be the fucking demon that he is? For good business? For that dollar sign? Say, get out. Don't worry, the government will pick you up off the street and put you in some place and feed you and hide you away like a dirty secret? Is that what he's saying to me? Just go hang out in the alley and wait for the fucking hospital transport truck to come pick you up, and they'll just haul your ass off to some facility and illegally detain you and illegally dope you up and illegally give you experimental drugs, and God knows what they're going to do with you. The point is they won't release you. Same thing for Amari. What do you think they're going to do to Amari? Is that his well-wishing for me? Is that what he wishes for me and my family? Because I don't pay full rent when I'm already paying full rent? And they're slowly but surely squeezing me out as they're fucking harassing me and gang-stalking me over shit that isn't even my fucking responsibility. And now that I can't fucking do it, they're holding it over my head? Like, I don't even want to go there with it. It's like going around in circles. There's no talking to the dude. The rent.
No, I mean full rent. So if you want,
you can't have somebody pay rent and then jack it up by $1,500.
What you just said is like you guys should come and do it. Why?
Where were you the last 12 years?
These guys are old.
You're not. Yeah, you weren't. Well, you kind of looking that way now, but you weren't. And Corey isn't. Corey promised me he was going to come 2 times.
Who's Corey?
Yeah, who's Corey? So even Corey, the son, gave me his wrong name. Corey, her other son, didn't even tell me his real fucking name. Go figure. I've been thinking it's been Corey all these years, and that's not even his name. Wow, that's what is that called? I don't know. Your brother.
Corey.
Deepa.
And Mrs. Gill's laughing. I told her this year to have Corey come. This is what I mean. He calls himself Corey.
No, he's not doing anything.
He told me he was going to come and help me.
He's not going to help
all
you.
The fences, yeah, he's not going to come and help you. Why would he help you? Do you see how this man talks to me? Fences broke down.
Why would he help you?
Well, I don't know. It's your yard.
Yeah.
Under the Landlords and Tenancy Acts branch, it was your guys'. Why doesn't the city provide Spring cleanup. Why don't you guys fight for that? If you would have had spring cleanup, Delta, Langley, White Rock, Vancouver, they all have spring cleanup, not Surrey.
They're not going to come and do your yard.
So then you've switched it. They're not going to come and do your yard. No, never asked for the city of Surrey to come in and do my yard to throw the crap out onto the fucking curbs so they can come pick it up. But at least provide the spring cleanup where people can do their yard, put it out on the road. If there's anything good that nobody wants, you put it out on the road and other people drive by and pick it up and take what they want and then leave the rest behind. And then it's fucking within a week after everybody doing their rummaging, then the city comes and they pick up what's left. And they recycle it, people. They recycle it into where it needs to go properly versus using yards against tenants as a means to kick them out so they can pay full rent for the next tenant. Kick out so they can move in a new tenant to pay full fucking rent at market value. Not what it is for me living here for 14 years, but for the new tenant to pay what it means for them living in a fucking province where they can't afford anything and they have no choice. But you know what? They need subsidized housing for these fucking immigrants coming in with their federal, provincial, and municipal subsidies to be able to afford the $28, $25, $3,000 for the main floor of a house, another $2,000. They're all being subsidized when they're coming in as immigrants, people. And that's why these landlords favor them. Because they're coming in under fucking contract with the government. It's guaranteed money in the bank. So yeah, who needs Judy? She did what we needed her to do. Get rid of her so we can bring in the immigrant family at the direction of the fucking city. Because the city's in bed with the province and the federal government to subsidize this immigrant family. So they can stuff them upstairs, 8 to a 3-floor, right? 3-bedroom upstairs. They'll put 5 or 6 or 7 of them, 8 up here. And then they'll put another 4 or 5 or 6 downstairs. All subsidized. All subsidized. Not working fucking immigrants. Immigrants coming off the boat. So the landlords now can make their $48 fucking $100 and pay full rent. But I'm not paying full rent. Because I pay now $22.50. When the rent should have only went up by $75. But we offered her $100. And then we got kicked in the teeth with the city showing up. Now I'm having to pay $3.50 for a fucking fine, not to mention a fucking bin, as everybody's around waiting for me to fucking kick off so they can get rid of the problem as they're plotting and scheming how to lock me up if that doesn't happen. As they insult me. Okay. No. It's called spring cleanup. We gather, we put out in the front. You know how spring cleanup works. Why don't you guys fight for that as landlords and homeowners? Instead, you use the city against the tenants to either harass them or threaten to kick them out. That's politics. That's good business, right? Isn't that what you told me?
You have no clue about life.
Kick out people that are paying. He can't answer the question. He can't answer the question. He doesn't, you see, that's the thing. He doesn't really have to pay for it, though, because it's all a fucking tax write-off. Especially if they can convince people around them that I was the problem tenant. And therefore it becomes a tax write-off for them. Plus it makes them feel good to go around bullying other people that are more vulnerable and weaker than them. Right? Obviously they get something from it. Right? Right? You know, they need to blame somebody, so they're going to blame the tenant. Right? Because the city's working with them to kick out the tenants, to bring in the bodies one way or another, and just I'm telling you, I'm dealing with organized crime, people. Whether my landlord's son realizes it or not, because you know he's just a small fry in that big bucket of corruption. Okay? You know, I mean, maybe he's just a gullible man and is in denial because it hurts him that his people can be so corrupt and bad and evil and demonic when it comes down to that big dollar sign in their eyes, right? With the, you know what I'm saying? With no remorse. Absolutely none. How? Why don't I just go get a knife, cut myself open, let it all fucking hang out and say, go nuts, take what you want. I give it to you for free. Huh? Would that make them happy? $1,500 a month so that you can raise the rent $3,000 a month.
You have no clue about life.
No, I know. He doesn't want to address the corruption with the city not providing spring cleanup. Because they need the excuse to attack the tenants if they don't provide the spring cleanup. Right? If we had a yearly spring cleanup, whatever it was that needed to be out would have been out on the curb. People would have picked the good stuff that my son was throwing out of the basement, right? And whatever was left over, if nobody wanted it, would have been picked up a week later by the city dump. And it all would have went to recycle, one way or another. And then they wouldn't have an excuse to harass tenants on a regular, consecutive basis, where they can build a case and use it against them to throw them out just because they're now saying that we don't pay full rent because we moved in the past. And even if you fucking do everything they want you to do in their stupid yard, you still get kicked out like my neighbor over here, who is 70 years old and severely is facing homelessness along with 6 other fucking houses. But I guess the government is supposed to house each and every single person in those houses, just like they're supposed to house each and every person in this house once our time comes, based on what this man is saying. Yeah. Corruption when I see it.
It's you're like corruption here, corruption here.
Well, what would you call it?
This is happening. This
Good
is
business to
kick
people out into the...
It's life.
It's life. It's life to kick people out so that you can reno evict, but not call it that, as you jack up the rent and get the next tenants to pick up where I left off. Yeah. In terms of yard. And they can try and fix the porch. They can pick up where I left off. But only they'll be paying more than 2 times the amount of rent. But that's okay, because they're immigrants coming in with their subsidies. Yeah. So as long as the landlords are getting their money, what do they care? Right? The more money, the better it is for them. Okay, life. The rich get richer while the poor get poor. We're waiting for the bin. We're talking politics. We're talking politics. Well, at least he had the decency to talk to me. Got to give him credit for that.
We're not
good
talking
business.
Politics. You're clueless in how reality works.
Well, I know there are good people and I know there are bad people.
Yes, and you're lucky you have good people. You're very, very lucky. Right?
Well, it's just a matter of time before I'm going to be homeless. Yeah. And then what?
Then you'll never be homeless.
Why?
There's always a government agent.
No, that's a lie. That's a fat fucking lie. There's homeless people all over the damn place. Okay? For crying out loud, Ciera was homeless for 8 fucking years. She never got no housing. So don't talk to me about there's always situation for people like me. Yeah, okay.
Taking care of you people, you know.
You people?
Yeah. No, I said people. Yeah.
Yeah, they're bringing in lock them up in the institution, drug them up and throw away the key. Not that I'm a you. And then all of a sudden it will be a mass die-off like in 2020. You get up and you find that the BC of British Columbia, Canada is recording fake pre-recorded live streams, putting them in the cache system on the server, and then re-streaming them with fake numbers of death because, right, we've been there. I got videos on that too, right? I guess we forgot about that, eh? Oh, but, right? Okay. And where do you think they're going to put me and my grandkids? Subsidized housing, that's the solution?
Yeah, or a home.
A home?
Yeah.
For blind people?
Well, if you're blind, you can't help. No, that's not it.
No, I can't help it.
Once I would just love to hear from you is like, what do you guys need me to do? I'll get it done. We're like,
What the hell? That's all I've been doing through my fucking videos. What the hell with the whip on my back? How is that even fucking... That doesn't even make any sense. Wait till I finish my playlist. And I'll have 1,000 videos of yard work. In that, mostly yard work videos. Yeah, with me in the fucking sand and the grit and the rocks and everything. And the weeds, the whole... Just, yeah, getting aged very quickly. And I'm not talking like fine wine. More like what a homeless person would look like living out on the streets. That's what the weather does to you. It wears you out. I don't understand.
That's what we would do.
I've been working, but the last 2 years been hard on me. My eyes really went that. Like, I'm blind, legally blind now. Okay? And I asked my son to help me, and he always said it was your guys' responsibility, and he was busy. And that I chose to do the yard. Same thing with my daughter. The best I got out of them was to mow the grass.
It's always somebody else's
No,
fault.
that's the reality. That's the truth. Did you ever see my son out here, Mrs. Gill? No. No. But he's doing it now. And he's mad at me because he's blaming me for it because you guys as landlords didn't help. Right? You know what I'm saying? Under the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch, it says right there, you're responsible for the yard.
Take us there.
I don't want to.
Yeah, no, you should, because then we will show
I'll
them
sue the government. No, I got my own videos. I do YouTube videos. You know that. Okay? I worked on a non-profit with one of your Punjabi men stole my freaking certificates because he didn't want to help with the community, just the Punjabis. Right? I say it to you as a person, right in front of you. I'm not talking behind your back. I'm telling you the truth, but you don't want to hear it.
It's everybody's fault except you.
No.
I'm telling you.
Last 2 years, I couldn't do it.
Majority of it is your issue.
Yeah, well, you know what? But they don't provide an opportunity for me to escape from their abuse. Right? Because they're kind, their partner groups, in partnership with government, have made it impossible where people can afford to move into something else. And that's just the reality of it. But he won't acknowledge it. He absolutely refuses to acknowledge it. Because he knows he's sitting on a gold mine with the next immigrant family coming in off the fucking boat. Because it's a guaranteed income when it comes to his demands in terms of full rent. When you put the house up for sale and you want to advertise the greenhouse, the sheds, the gardens, the walkways, I'm the only one that did that. Only me. Little teeny weeny me. Nobody helped me to build it unless I paid a man to build something that I couldn't do because I couldn't do the roof on the greenhouse.
You have a lot of energy to argue, but you have no energy to do anything what should be done.
What? Like, yard work I can't see. I put 12 years in.
Okay, please.
He just insists on fucking insulting me.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Easy for you. You're a rich man.
I'm not rich, man. We work hard. We wouldn't be here this morning getting out of bed for people, that abuse us.
I don't abuse you.
Yeah, you abuse my parents a lot.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I pay the rent. I'm not safe in this house, people. Can you not hear this? I don't think there's any way to reach this man. He's got a beard that is like almost a foot long. He's getting kind of stuck in his ways. I've always paid the rent. I work like a dog. Mrs. Gill, I loved you.
Okay, keep it.
Like,
Go
seriously.
inside.
No,
Go
I'll just
inside.
wait and stay quiet. Is this it?
No.
You should see these cement trucks, 7 in a row, grinding their stuff, 4 hours straight, right in front of the house. My son had to go to work. Oh, speaking of that, is this an open cab? Like an open bin?
Yeah.
He wants my grandson looking out the window all night long to make sure nobody throws anything in it.
Yeah.
He should. Oh my God. So if my grandson sees somebody throwing in it, what's your suggestion?
Just start yelling and say, hey, what the fuck? You should watch it. You got nothing better to do.
Do you see how he insults me again? You should watch it. You got nothing better to do.
Just sit there.
You just sit there.
You're
Nothing
good at
better
nagging.
to do? You're good at that.
You're good at nagging.
Do you see how You're good at something. I couldn't quite hear it. Insult people? I gave you my life, just like I gave to her in this yard.
You gave us nothing.
You gave us nothing. Are you hearing this? You gave us nothing. I gave you lots. I gave you everything. I went blind because of this yard, working. Go walk on the cement. It was sand. It was nothing but a half a yard of sand. Cats shitting in it with morning glory. That was my fault when I moved in? No. Backyard water drainage problems. Mud, grit, fucking wheeze up to here. You couldn't even take a lawnmower to it. But now there's sheds back there, walkways, greenhouse. Who did that? I did that. I did that.
Huh?
Okay? You say I'm ungrateful?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, look at the way you talk. You
No,
talk
no.
entitled.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
No.
you do.
Okay, Judy, please keep quiet. Okay.
Look how you talk. You're so entitled. Well, entitled people don't face homelessness en masse. You should watch my YouTube video sometime, if you haven't already. I'm not hiding anything here, people. Okay? Hold on a minute. Okay, I'm flabbergasted. I don't know how to reach people like this, people. I just don't know. Especially when the older they get. Alright? And it's bad enough the young men are thinking like this. Like those Punjabis over there. Right? When they came to the house for water. Just straight up insulted me at my front door. Never met the man in my life. So, I'm thinking, right? Like thinking, obviously, that's what they want. They want your brain to hurt. As they insult you and tell you that you're not intelligent. So, I'm thinking about this lawsuit, right? And like, the city should be, I don't know what I was listening to here, but I can't seem to find it now. There it is. The city should be providing spring cleanup. Instead, they don't, so that they can have their fucking bylaw officers harass tenants at the whim of the economy, regardless of who's manipulating it. And at this point, it is the property developers and property owners. And, to do what they're doing to me for kickbacks, whether personal or on a collective level, through that stimulating the economy to keep the middle class afloat, basically, as they're amassing great wealth in the back room. So, I don't know how you write that down, people. I mean, like, you can only get so much information off the internet in terms of research. Usually statistics come in 2 years in the past, right? Like 2 years ago, right? You don't get them right up to date. Like when my son said that the province only increased by 23,000 people, which I find to be unusual for a year. And 22 of those 1,000 people were nothing more than immigrants, and all immigrants, where there was only 1,000 live births in the province for whatever time period my son was looking at. I mean, like, that tells you something, right? They want this house for an immigrant family so they can break it up in 2 separate suites and milk the taxpayers through subsidies on all levels of government to support the landlord's greed, basically. Because they're struggling. They go to the grocery store and it's so expensive. This is the only way they can buy food. Right? Where people like me are expected, I guess, to not have any and wait for the government out on the streets to pick us up, well, scrape us up off the cement because we're homeless, quote unquote. And we need help and somebody looking after us. Yeah. Where was Ciera's help? People? There was no help for Ciera, so don't throw that in my face. That's mulch to put on the garden beds and whatnot to protect dirt.
When did it up here?
Oh, a while ago. I had wanted to get my grandson. My fault, people. I've gotten really weak this year. Oh yeah, with these eyes and everything, and the dizziness kicking in because of the eye blurriness and just whatever. Just, you don't even know. So I took responsibility for that. That was not my intention. But when my son started to pile up whatever he was doing there for that little bit, when he helped her to whatever, I don't know, I just don't have the stamina, people. It's hard. I was too busy with all that other shit that was going on. I told you that in the last video. Yeah. I have to do it. As soon as it warms up a little bit. I'm working on a garden bed now. Okay? I'm actually working on a few garden beds. Not for me. I'm just building in the garden bed with what it needs to be built in with so that in a couple of years from now, it should be very good dirt for somebody to plant something else in it, or take that dirt and put it someplace else in the yard where it would benefit. Because it wouldn't be landfill. It would actually be some form of soil. But that takes years to make. Up the ground, I have to put things, build it, and then and then if I cover it up with those wood chips, depending on where it is, you won't see very few weeds. All you'll see mostly will be morning glory. Yeah, but if you're not out there pulling it like every week, every day, forget every week, every day, for months and months, because you don't have to remember, it starts in the spring and dies off at late fall. So it has a very long growing season. And I don't have the stamina to be pulling morning glory. Never mind distinguishing what's morning glory and what's something else because morning glory likes to twirl, right? So, you know, it's hard for me to see the vine. I can't see it on the stem. Everything has to be done by feel. And it takes hours to get rid of that shit. And then it comes right back. What is that called? Landscape. And it gives off histamines. Yeah. Landscaping fabric, I'll cover over. I spent almost $350 for landscaping fabric. I've used some of it. My intentions were to do more, but I haven't had a chance yet, people. Stuff, my son put that there a long time ago. There's good dirt underneath it with landscaping fabric. I worked on that thing for 2 years. That's when the Punjabis were over there across the street with their little, whatever they were doing for their Kelsa schools and that kind of stuff. They used to give me the scraps and I'd wheel them over in huge buckets full, like big garbage can fulls. And I'd bury it in and then I'd put dirt and I'd take old dirt around the yard, right? Like, you know, as you're building and you're taking out the landfill, the old rotten dirt. And then I'd mix it in with whatever I was doing and you know, you layer it like this, eh? and then you cover it up and you let it sit for a couple of years, 2-3 years, you know, little pieces of wood in there or whatever, right? And it's good to go. My landlady wants big zucchinis like this, big ones. You need good dirt for that. So once he moves all that, we'll just shovel it onto there, and then as the days go by. But then my son's, you know, cleaned up the yard for Mrs. Gill last year, gathered everything up, threw it on top of it, which at this point I didn't really care because it was in the process of making dirt. But now that the thing is out there, it will be emptied off and you'll see a nice black flat. Well, no, not where that stuff is. But you'll end up seeing what I did lay down anyway, you know, like, I don't know, people. I don't know. You know, we'll just use it as just to, you know how it is, mulch.
And just don't put it on the grass.
No, of course not. Okay, this man wants fucking grass. I have to convince my son not to put his little perma garden on what little grass we have. Because if he does, he's going to piss off Mrs. Gill's son. Okay. I think his name is Harry. I don't know why Harry keeps standing out. But then it could be a Corey too. Who knows? No, I don't. His name's not Harry. I don't know who the hell Harry is. But he wants grass. He keeps mentioning grass. Well, my son wants the grass to turn into a permaculture garden. And that's no-go zone. And I'm trying to tell him that, and he won't listen to me, but I'll make him realize that it's very important. And we got problems with ants, so the ants need to be dealt with, like, ASAP this year. Yeah, I'm going to try borax and sugar first and see what happens. What do you call it? What was I saying? I have water boiling to make coffee. I should be drinking lemon juice, but I'm not. I don't even know what I was talking about.
Hey, 8:30.
No, it goes...
Maybe 8:30.
No, it's meant for gardens and stuff.
Then move 7:30.
I apologize for that. My heart was in the right spot, people. Okay? Because, you know, there's parts of me that like being in the yard. Because I did it with love. Right? So I suppose I still have some love for it. I just don't have the energy for it. The stamina and the eyesight for it. But that mulch is like a gold mine, okay? For any gardener that knows anything about gardening. Couldn't see. It's hard for me to see out there. And my grandson, I don't know if you know, but he's severely disabled. I know that's an excuse, but it's pretty rough. But yeah, no, this is important. Anyway, my son cleared off over there too. He cleared out everything, dug up the flowers, everything.
Why do you bring that siding? Siding.
It's gone.
No, it's there.
They were supposed to pick it up. What siding? What are you talking about?
Siding.
Is
Yeah,
it still
metal
there?
one. Yeah.
Well, they picked up some of it, Mrs. Gill. Did they leave that behind? Then my son will chuck it. I wanted it for the fence, but all the fences are falling down, Mrs. Gill. No, if they didn't come for it, that will go.
Huh?
That will go. Somebody came and picked up what they wanted, and they left that. So he'll throw that out. I wanted it for the fences. Honestly, I don't think she really wanted me to throw it out versus maybe having it tidied up and tucked off to the side somewhere and using it around the yard. Yeah. So that's up for debate yet. I don't know how much they left. They left a little bit. So I'm going to look at it because I have a little bit in the back for Mr. Lace's cat house, right? The old hens and Mr. Lace the rooster, his house, right? So I don't know. I have to see what happens in the next day or so. If I can scoop up on a few more and just tuck them out of the way, and then Andre and Jude, as they're building their fort in the back, they can run that little bit of vinyl siding where you can do it. Because I bought the clippers for it, I've got the nails, I've got the hammers, I've got everything we need, right? Just don't have the strength. Or the time. Or even the time for that matter. You know? Like I said, having Amari definitely changed my life. And then losing my eyesight made it even worse. And I swear these eye drops, after 2 years, I never did do well with eye drops. And I've been on them for well over 2 years, and no. So I think my water is boiling. I'll make myself a coffee, and then I'm going to come back. I think we're almost at the end of this, and upload it as is, and, you know, try and look at it from a man's perspective that likes a straight cut, right? If you were to design him an outfit, I'd put his ass in a pimp outfit. Nice straight cut, broad shoulders, right? Nice pants, beautiful, right? Like a suit. He'd look really good in that kind of an outfit, right? With a little fly hat on his side when he was feeling sexy. With his long white beard. Oh, you're out of touch with reality. You're delusional. Oh, what do you know? You're not a smart woman. Oh, you're absolutely right. Harry? Where the hell did Harry come from? Oh, God forbid, don't invite trouble, right? Okay, I'm like, I need a band of renegade, broke-ass property developers that want to take on the corruption with me. Because when he said, go ahead, take me to the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch and see where it gets you, basically. Well, yeah, that's small fries, right? That's just a little local within a, you know, certain jurisdiction with limited powers, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's obviously in favor of go where the money is, right? So, you know, with that said, when I file my lawsuit, just like conspiracy under the Criminal Code of Canada is at the top of the list, I think the province of British Columbia, Canada, is at the top of the list when it comes to who you're serving. As to what ministry, I'm not sure yet, but obviously environmental, human resources, I would suppose social assistance, which would be 2 separate fucking ministries. So right there, you're looking at 3 ministries. And if you send them off to those 3 ministries, you're looking at triple the photocopying, as if I got money to do it, right? But this is where you got to have the gift of the fucking gab. Put the shit in limited 1 or 2 sentences with A, B, 1, 2, 3, C, D, F, and then fuck you, right? In terms of, go ahead, look it up in the Criminal Code of Canada, because I got a copy here where it's all written out. Right? And just as fast as you're looking at it, I'm spitting it out. So, you know, like, but we know that it's a losing battle for me because I'm the one with no money. That's why I say I need a freaking renegade, broke-ass band of property developers that want to turn this situation around when it comes to evicting people from their houses through, what is that called? Oh, loopholes. Through loopholes, right? Backroom deals or whatever it is. Nothing under the, it wouldn't be because of negligence. It would just because of, you know, a loophole where they can reno evict you, but not listed down as reno eviction. Instead, they flip the script and use the city with their negligence not to provide an annual spring cleanup for the homeowners, regardless of whether they're property developers or not. The privilege, because it is a privilege. Well, no, it's not. It's actually a right. Vancouver does it. Fucking Delta does it. White Rock does it. Langley does it, and so on. Probably Abbotsford. I should, you know, so this is where I need to look on the bloody internet as if I got time to see what district, because you know if I'm filing a lawsuit, people, I'm bringing in the fucking city. Okay, and then that's when the Mr. and Mrs. Gills with the family can show up as hostile witnesses to the fact of the larger corruption that has corrupted the people themselves to treat each other like trash for profit. That's what I'm thinking about. And oh, it's easy to say, but try and sit it down and write it out. Especially when you know you don't have a fighting chance in fucking court because they're too busy calling you frivolous and scandalous and a waste of the court's time when they're not accusing you of being somebody else in some other court file under case law, which has nothing to do with you. And because it's probably a family member sitting as a judge or a long-lost cousin or some, I don't know, crook that joined the gang, They're going to take the bribe and they're going to throw it out. But at least I tried, people. Okay, at least I'm trying. Even thinking about it is trying. He playing me off like I'm an individual, like I'm a singular person with this fucking problem that I bring to YouTube when it comes to facing homelessness, losing your grandkids, losing your children, losing your sons and daughters to death, losing your old loved ones because they got money and you couldn't look after them because somebody else deemed that you were now insignificant and I don't know what, and then took him and stole his money and locked him up like a dirty fucking secret. And then covered it up in court. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, 5 fucking times. And you know if I file another lawsuit, people, Uncle John is always with us. Always. So I don't expect to win. But it would be nice to crack it open. Give other people a fucking fighting chance to get in there and fucking fight back. It's like cracking a walnut. Do you know how hard it is to crack a fucking walnut? They're so embedded deep with each other with the same old rigmarole that comes out of their mouths where they're very quick to switch it on you and it all see you in court. Yeah, we got the evidence. I got a fucking more than 1,000 hours of YouTube fucking videos of me in this damn yard. Like, shut up. Like, as if I don't got fucking evidence. Oh, but they're not all in playlists. Well, I'm sure I can pull up some real fast. If you want to fight over the yard. Okay, so the other thing I was thinking about, and we're going to listen to this again, because not that I know my landlady, because I really don't. Right? But when she took me to that vinyl, and she pointed me to that vinyl, and like she knows for a fact that there was less vinyl than there was more vinyl than that, because she noticed that the vinyl in front of the window was gone, which I would have used for the fences, people, but that opportunity is gone now, right? Okay, I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, my mind is and my intentions are in the right spot, because if I had the energy to do it last year, I would have done it. So what makes me think I can do it next year, even with my heart in the right spot? With more deteriorating of my health in the eyes and everything, right? But, you know, stubborn me, oh no, gotta keep that vinyl because next year will be the year. Yeah, well anyway, she took me there and she looked at it, right? And she sounded like she was complaining that it was there, but she knew that it wasn't as much as there was there before. So any reasonable person would know, well, if 3/4 of it is gone, basically, and there's only a quarter left, then clearly somebody walked off with the other ones. So if that pile went missing, this little teeny weeny pile will go missing. But she made sure she pointed it out to me. And then when I told her, like, oh, yeah, okay, I will get rid of it, she got real quiet. She didn't say anything. She didn't say, yeah, do it. No, she sat. She stayed quiet because I know how some of her wheels work in there. And she's probably thinking in the back of her mind, you know, maybe Judy can do something with it, even a little bit, right? Every little bit helps, you know, when it comes to stupid fence repairs and all that crap, you know, when it's, you know, it's just time and effort and, you know, right? A few materials, right? And stamina. And, you know, if it buys another couple of more years, 3 or 4 more years, after it's all said and done, maybe 5, even 6, who knows? Cedar siding takes a long time to rot, okay? And it usually starts rotting at the top of the boards, and then it works its way down, because it's wood rot, it eats, right? Or it comes up from the bottom. That's easy to solve just by running old 2x4s across the beams after you've got them all placed back in. Run some chicken wire on it to hold them in place so they don't fall, and then just reinforce it with the 2x4s. I've done that already, people, right? I didn't get a chance to do these other ones, and this guy over there, I told you, he keeps busting up the fucking fence so the sun can come and go onto his gardens, because he grows squash that likes to crawl on the ground. So he needs that, and I understand that. And I turn a blind eye to it, and I ignore it. But it's falling down more and more, and I just wish somebody would help me fucking fix it. And, I mean, you heard me mention it in this video, well, recording. What about the fence? They completely ignored it. They completely ignored it. Didn't even acknowledge it existed. But I think when my landlady walked to that, because I always told her it was for the fence, right? For the most part. And, you know, she got quiet. And the fact that she got quiet tells me that she doesn't want me to really throw it away. And if I can use it where it makes sense, quote unquote, then do it. But I can't even attempt to say that I can do it this year because I just don't know how much stamina I'm going to have. Never mind see what it is that I'm doing. But I've got a grandson that wants to build a fort with his little friend. I bought all the clipping, the tin cutters, left, right, center, couple sets, and so he could learn how to cut vinyl with the tools. And I was going to do it with him, but I don't know. So now he's older. He can go outside with Jude, and I'll show him what to do, and he can do it. Got the nails, got the hammers, got everything. I got the wood if we need to paint, wherever. We'll work on Mr. Lacey's hen house. Well, we called it the cat house because the cats moved in for a while too. So we had Mr. Lace in there all by himself, rescued as a throwaway rooster before he even had looked like a male. Okay? It didn't take long before we realized we had a rooster, and boy, oh boy, what a great rooster he is. All right. And then my landlord, Mr. Gill, gave me 7 of his hens, so all of a sudden I had 8 birds. Got all the videos on that. And then the city got involved, took away my hens, and told me to, get rid of the rooster. So Mr. Gill came and got the leftover birds that didn't get killed by the raccoons or the rats. I'm just saying. Got videos on that. It's been wild, wild west out there in the back, okay? And what do you call it? Then he came and he got Mr. Lace and he took him to a farm. He promised me he was going to take him to a farm. And I do believe he kept his promise. Because Mr. Gill loves roosters and hens. He loves chickens. And because he loved his chickens, I know he loved my rooster. So I trust he took him to the farms. So that's how it became Mr. Lace's cat house then. Because the cats, well, after the birds were gone, what were we going to do with it? Well, we'll make it into a cat house. Sure, that didn't last long because the raccoons moved in. So, whatever. So anyway, we're working on that this year. So that vine, but I kind of want to wind this back just a little bit. Because if I was to say I know Mrs. Gill, if she thought that I could do fence repairs without costing her any money, she'd be giggling. Yeah. One less problem, right? I apologize for that. Okay, so what am I apologizing for? For not putting the, what is that called? Wood chips out in a timely manner. But I don't even want to get into it. I don't want to point no fingers. There's a whole lot of fingers pointing there. And so anyway, I apologize for that because that was not my intention, was to have them dump it off and then have it sit there, right? But it's valuable. You see, that's the thing. You don't want to throw that away. I'm surprised people haven't walked off with it in the neighborhood. Maybe they have. I don't know. Okay, let's listen. I couldn't see. It's hard for me to see out here. And my grandson, I don't know if you know, but he's severely disabled. I know, that's an excuse, but it's pretty rough. But yeah, no, this is important. Hey, my son cleared off over there too. He cleared out everything, dug up the flowers, everything.
Why do you bring that as siding? Okay,
so now she's talking about the siding because I guess they went and she's seen it. Now, she's been back and forth, forever. Over the last couple of years, well, when did I have the little house? In 2018, right? So that siding's been sitting there since 2018. My God, as long as ShaMay's been dead. Yep. That guy tore down that place by November of 2018. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 7 years later. Well, we're going into the 7th year. So 6 years later, she walked back and forth, right? Last 2 years asking Corey, her son, so I thought, oh my God, to help with putting that up along the fence so that it wouldn't fall down. Now that the fences fell down, right? I mean, like, how do they expect me to fix it with nothing to fix it with? That's the first thing. And would they even fix it if I asked them to fix it? Which probably they wouldn't, unless I paid full rent, which means I'd have to start paying at least $3,500 and then be priced out at $48 as they squeeze me out. Right? Because they're just keeping up with the Joneses. Is this going the right way? Yeah. Because they're keeping up with the Joneses. That's the reality of the dimension those people are at. Where I'm on a completely different dimension with a different kind of reality. But my reality is insignificant because at the end of the day, after all the games have been played, my ass is grass, and so is my family's ass is grass, where we're going to be practically homeless, if not homeless. Because these people that I'm dealing with in terms of quote-unquote people in their position, they don't face the realities families like mine do. Or those 7 other households with 2 separate suites per household. So 14 other families face. When these badass, I don't know what you want to call them, I don't know, just kick your ass out on the street and expect the government to pick up the slack and house you. And feed you. And look after you. And that's a systemic problem. Because not only is it being fueled by, what is that called? Ethnic traditions. Ethnic traditions. Or moral codes of ethics within families. And the more wealth you have, there's more moral codes and expectations as to what's, I don't know, tradition to keep the family intact, where wealth building, I suppose, becomes the precedence versus maybe the family unit as a whole. Because when you become ruthless and completely disconnected to those around you as you accuse them of being in a different dimension, even though they're the ones facing homelessness and not the accuser, right? Like, oh God, I'm losing my thought here. Let's stay focused with Mrs. Gill. So she makes a point. Now, she could have been just using it so she could hit me up for some money, because we'll get to that in a minute. But she makes a point to point out the vinyl, knowing that she's walked by it for the last 6 years, with me saying I'm going to use it around the yard to make it look nice, whether it would have been compost beds, you know, in terms of, you know, boarding them, giving them borders, nice aesthetic, straight cut, that, you know, that straight cut I was talking about. That's what that vinyl would have provided if somebody would have helped me to run them along the compost bin, like the compost boxes that I've built, right? Or used as, like, to run along the fence with the cedar siding, with borders, just keeping everything in place with the chicken wire behind it on the inside to hold up the fence, where the only time it would fall down would be at the beam of the fence and not the boards of the fence. Right now we're dealing with the boards. You don't have to tear down the whole fence just to fix the boards. And that's the point. But I don't have the stamina to do these things by myself. Never mind a good job where we don't have to touch it for another freaking 10 years once it's been done. 6 years ago, I could have done it. I can't do it no more, people. I've already done it. I just don't have the stamina anymore.
Siding.
It's gone. Siding. So she took me down, she wanted me to go. I don't know if she called me. She kind of called me right to her. So I went to her, and then she brought up the siding, all right? And she kind of complaining about it, but then she gets quiet. And when she gets quiet, that tells you something, people.
No, it's there.
They were supposed to pick it up. What siding? What are you talking about?
Siding.
Is it still there?
One. Yeah.
She said metal one. I don't know what metal siding she's talking about, but any metal siding that I got around here, I need it. I need it to run it between the porch and the roof because it leaks at that seam, and it's just getting water everywhere. My son helped me run one there, one there. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? I'm using this as a camera. Shows you how stressed out I am. Okay, you looking? Up there on the ceiling, see, that's where right there. That's right there. That picture and that picture. That's where my certificates to my foundation is supposed to be. So whenever you hear me talking about the foundation and looking up there, that's what I'm looking at, wondering where my certificates are. Okay? So in the meantime, you've got that little plastic roof that goes that way, that is attached to the roof, but the seam, it leaks. So my son and I, one year, laid 2 metal sidings, one there, to catch the rain so that it could run like a funnel out over the edge. But even that needs to be corrected, because over time, you know, it just needs to be adjusted and made, oh my God, what am I doing? I'll end up turning off the camera yet. Okay. I need for over there, and I might have to double them up. That's the only way to stop the leaking without bothering my landlord, as if she'd do it anyway, and she wouldn't. So, I don't know what to say. I need it. If I ask my son, it's a hit and miss. So I never asked, because I haven't been opening up the back door, because that needs to be fixed. As I'm paying $350 for this shit, just for the fine. And then I have to pay for part of the bin. As my landlord's son forever holds it against me by saying this is his last chance with me and next time that's it, I'm out. Well, it seems to me that's the agenda anyway, so what difference does it make? And that's why I have to file a lawsuit. Yeah. And if they ever somehow get involved with it, in terms of I have to call them in, because they are witnesses to the fact, I don't care if they're opposing, they're called hostile witnesses, so be it. And then the judge can throw everybody out. Throw them out, throw me out, throw us all out at one fucking time. The province, the city, I suppose, Mr. and Mrs. Gill, or somebody representing them in court. I'm just saying. And quite possibly the new property owner. Oh yeah. And then the judge can look at all 4 of us. And then just throw us all out of court. Tell us to duke it out for ourselves. Yeah. That's what he'll tell us. as he's taking a backroom deal to say that. To make that happen. And of course, you know I'm going to get the short end of the stick. And that's assuming I even make it that far. So she definitely went out of her way to point out vinyl siding to me. This is like a mystery, right? Where for the last 6 years, she's probably walked past it, oh my God, 200 times or more. And she damn well knows exactly what's there because she'd been looking at it. Because when she brought me there and she pointed out to the one that was in the front, I know she noticed that it wasn't there anymore. And I wasn't too sure why she was, if anything, she would have said, oh, it's gone, great, yay. But she didn't. She just kind of went over there. And then she brought up the idea of metal siding. That's not metal, that's vinyl, that's different. That shit can last for 25 years in the element and not erode. And all you have to do is take some water and soap and a scrub brush and wash it down every now and then, and it's good to go. But for whatever reason, anyway, let's listen. So we know there's fence repairs that have to happen. My son said already he's not fixing fences. And I'm like, oh, grand. Okay. Well, they picked up some of it, Mrs. Gill. Did they leave that behind? Then my son will chuck it. So I'm trying to reassure that whatever's left there, because, somebody took off 3/4 with it, the rest will go in the garbage. But, after I walked away and I thought about it, I'm a little confused because she got quiet. When I said that, she didn't answer. If she was really in agreement, she would have, yeah, have your son do that. Just like when in the beginning of this, her son said something to me and she agreed with him. We're here, I said something that you would think that she would agree with, but she didn't, because somewhere inside of her, she's saying, no, maybe tuck it away, like being telepathic. And she was telepathicking something here at some point by staying quiet, because there's not much there. It wouldn't take much to move it and just put it off to the side and then use what I have in the back for Mr. Lace's cat house. I've got all the tools. I've got all the nails. The boys can do it. It's pretty simple. Once I show them how to do it, if anything, they probably enjoyed doing it. It gives them an opportunity to build on with their... If you're going to build a fort, you're going to do that, right? And between the two of them, it's going to look really nice. Give them that sense of art, because that's what the vinyl does. It brings the art, it brings the fine cut, it brings the nice tie, It's one thing wearing a suit with a white shirt, right? And nothing else but it's another thing when you have a beautiful tie to accent the suit and the shirt. That's what that vinyl siding was. I just didn't have the stamina to do it by myself. For the fence, but all the fences are falling down, Mrs. Gill. No. So if you notice, she's not talking about that. Oh my God, don't talk to me about broken down fences. 14 years later, finally, I'm coming to you and saying, oh, I don't know if I can manage this on my own. As her son is saying, well, you're not paying full rent because you don't pay at least $3,500, but honestly, we want $48. I didn't come for it because everybody else charges the same thing. So therefore, if we don't keep up with the Joneses, somehow we're not equal to our peers. Yeah. People are laughing at us for being so kind. And balanced. Criminals like to hang out together. People who steal things and do shit like alcoholics. That's why they have booze cans. That's why they have bars. Birds of a feather flock together. Well, it's the same thing with nice people. All right. Why would you give your tenant lower rent when all your peers are overcharging their tenants? And then their tenants hear about you and are begging for you to be their landlord because you're nice. You think those bad landlords want that to happen? Hell no. I don't know, it's an abusive race, people.
Yeah,
that will go.
Huh?
That will go. Somebody came and picked up what they wanted, and they left that. So he'll throw that out. I wanted it for the fences. All the fences are falling down. But I can't use it. No, I can't even see anymore. You know that.
That's it.
You know that. It will be enough for me just to do a little bit. Fix a few things. Right? Whatever. I'm sorry. I sound sick, people. It's been hard the last 2 years. You know that. Right? I didn't go out of my way to do this on purpose. Okay? So now they've got me exactly where they want me. I am taking full responsibility, apologizing. I don't want to call it groveling, but maybe putting down my guard and allowing myself to be vulnerable, if that makes sense. To defuse the growing tension. Although, I don't know, I'm sorry, people. Although I'm like, but it's going to be like clockwork, because the man that was in this recording is convinced that I don't pay full rent because I'm not keeping up with the Joneses on their terms. Yeah. And he relies too much on the government to solve that problem, which is ultimately created through greed and conspiracy to commit crimes. And that's why we do have a criminal code of Canada, because that shit happens. And yeah, it takes you to a whole new fucking realm. You better believe it. A whole new dimension. And I wish I could be a legal beagle that can slap down legislation after legislation after legislation and know how to recite it like a Bible word for word, or a Quran word for word, or the Punjabi guru book of religion word for word. But I can't, okay? All I can do is write it down, cite it, maybe get a chance for 20 minutes to speak it, and then have it thrown into my face and act like, and well, not act like, but be told that it's obsolete, even though it's federal law. Because it's the politics within the province that call all the shots. To where the politicians themselves, as representatives to their jurisdictions, falsely represent their positions in a court of law through a lawsuit by covering up heinous acts, criminal activity, that kind of stuff, for kickbacks through a long chain line of organized crooks that profit through those legislations that you cite as you write your lawsuit. But yet they won't acknowledge what you have to say. Instead, they'll use something within their legislation from the same very books or whatever that you're using where it benefits them, because that's how it's written. There's a part where it benefits the government and their workers, and then there's the part where it's supposed to benefit the public, right? But, whatever. So she's not really saying too much about that vinyl siding, so I have to look at it. My intentions are in the right spot, but I know my son will end up fighting over stupid vinyl. I'll be like, no, just there's not much there. Just leave it. I'll ask him just to tuck it in underneath, throw the tarp over it. And if the boys can't, if the boys can't use it by the end of summer as they're working on their fort, help with Mr. Lace's cat house, finish that up or whatever, then at the end of summer, my son can load up his little truck and he can haul it off to the dump for me and I'll pay for it. How about that? Or maybe I might even use it. No, there's not enough no more to put it on the fence. But definitely on Mr. Lace's cat house, or maybe a little bit on the greenhouse, or maybe something with what they're doing with the playhouse. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not a playhouse anymore, it's a fort. They're going to build a fort. But I don't know, people. Let's listen some more. We're almost done. I've been asking for help. Nobody helping me. But this is, this will work. This will be good. So I'm trying to smooth over this bin and be copacetic and let go like my grandmother had to let go with her yard when she sold her house and moved on. And then a picture surfaced years later with it looking all scraggly and gray because the flowers died off and nobody came in and weeded them. And I'm like, oh my God, if my grandmother was alive, she'd have a broken heart, right? Like, serious. But that's what happened to her yard after she sold her house. So, I don't own this house. But, I'm, like I said, this will probably be the last year I'll probably be able to do anything in this yard. So when this man talks about me being grateful, like, come on, man, I'm 63, 62. I'm going to be turning 63. By the time I'm 64, I will probably be in really, blind. Blind, like, you don't even know. I can't imagine living the way I've been living over the last year with me going blinder and blinder every fucking week. It seems like almost every day. I mean, how far can this go until you just can't see anything except maybe, I don't know. I had that dream with Marcaine. Everything was white except that round circle, but yet I could look far off into the distance and see him standing there with his back turned to me with a whole bunch of men looking in the direction he was as he kind of built me a room to lock me up in, so he said, to keep me safe, as he was working on another room to lock somebody else up in. And I'm trying to talk to him, and he's ignoring me. And all I could see was all kind of white with the white ring, with the black ring, right? Because that's how it starts to look. You can, right? When you're losing your eyesight, it's hard to explain. But yet I could see distance with him, with his back turned against me, with standing in a row of a whole bunch of men, as if he was captured by something else. All of them. They were all captured by it. And his solution to solve the problem was to lock me up in a room, I don't know, and start building another room to lock another one, all of us up, I suppose. As he was thinking he was keeping me safe, locked up, in a room, and building one for, I guess, Amari and Andre, I don't know. He was building it for one of us, all of us, as he was ignoring me, because he was captured with the other men in the community, all looking in a far-off distance. What were they looking at? What held their attention? We get lots out of it. Yeah. And we'll start fresh. So I'm trying to be positive about this and reassure that I still love her, basically. That's what I was doing. Because I'm not there to fight people. Like I said, if you could provide to me a realistic fucking in the real world solution to my problem in terms of how am I going to vacate your house safely, okay, without losing my whole family while I do it, basically, to one degree or another. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Right? I got chicken broth there. You're going to drink some chicken broth today. You're getting phlegmy there. Hold on a minute. Okay, so I'm trying to reassure, not that my love means anything, because it doesn't. When it comes to quote-unquote family, right? Right? I'm not trying to play no family card here, okay? But I also don't want her to think that I'm an irresponsible person that's going to start vandalizing her house because I feel spiteful. Because my entitlement mentality is getting in the way of being realistic here. Right? You know what I'm saying? Oh, boy. Okay.
So I have to pay.
Oh, yeah.
Penalty.
How much?
$350.
I'll give it back. So now she's mentioning the city fine, but I haven't seen any paperwork yet on it, so I'm assuming I will get a copy. Yeah. And then that would be in my lawsuit, because that's what the province is allowing the city of Surrey to do, is to use legislation to hasten the eviction of vulnerable families. I'm separating myself and putting myself with the whole, right? They're using legislation to, evict people, vulnerable families, where that legislation, I don't know. You can't force the city of Surrey to do an annual spring cleanup even though everybody else does, because the city of Surrey brought in their own legislation through city council where it's set in stone. And then the province is going to say, well, no, in this legislation, we've already given the city the autonomy to be able to speak and do for themselves under this section, blah, 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 blah. So therefore, don't come crying to us, take it up with the fucking city, because they passed the buck back to the city. They pass the buck back to the city. And then when you go and try and take the city to court, they'll say, well, but the province allows us to do it. Well, the province is saying it's not our fault. Take it up with the city. Where if the city would just do the right thing and provide annual spring cleanup, everything that's been going on all these years would have been fucking dealt with at least once a year. And I lived in Delta for 8 years, people, so I had access to a reliable Delta spring cleanup annually every year for 5 years. 8 years. Yeah. So I know what I'm talking about. To you, Mrs. Gill. I'll give it back to you, okay? Don't worry. So I have to reassure that I'll pay for this mistake that I made. I'll find a way. Maybe in payments or something. Is that okay? Probably in payments. I can't afford to borrow on my personal loan. There's not much left to borrow. And then I'll help pay for the bin. Mark can't help pay. Right? And I already offered to help pay for the bin. Andre will keep watch. Okay? Yeah, no, I'll pay that. Don't worry. At least you got him out here working. Huh? At least my son's out here working. Yeah. That's the lemonade. At least my son is out there working. I just don't want him to have that whip on his back feeling like he's obligated to do something, because if he didn't, he's going to lose the house. But we're already been warned by my, what's his name, right? The mean one, huh? We've already been warned by him that this is our last leg, right? And the only one holding the fort together in his mind at this point is Marcane, like holding down the fort. But at what cost? And for how long? Okay, all right. Being that he's just a poor boy. Well, poor man. Cool. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm paying for it physically. I'm paying for it emotionally because I'm being insulted left, right, and center. I'm paying for it financially. Okay. And, well, I suppose if I'm paying for it financially, to whatever degree I'm paying for it, the lemonade part of that situation would be I'd get more for my value in terms of more shit done for the amount of money that I'm paying right now compared to what I've paid in the past trying to hire homeless people or whoever else to work in this yard to help me clean up this yard, because that was my only recourse to get help, was to try and hire somebody. And basically it all backfired up in my fucking face and I ended up paying for nothing. At least in this situation, are you hearing me? At least in this situation, I get the satisfaction of knowing that the refuge that should have been out of my yard years ago, and it would have been if there would have been a freaking annual cleanup like everybody else in the province, except for Surrey, for whatever reason. And that's what you write into your lawsuit, people, because that little fucking loophole, that's that loophole I was talking about. That's the one that gives them the opportunity to gang stalk you and build a fucking case against you so that they can come back, ignore everything that you got to say, and then stand their ground and saying, well, I'm lording over you, and you do realize this is the last time you get a chance from my mother and my father. In other words, wait until they die, because then you're going to be dealing with me, bitch. Did you hear that?
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to the camera.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
Yeah. Not him. His mother and father are the ones that allow me to stay, so when they're dead, and being that they're 84 and 86 years old, they don't got too many fucking years left here, people. They could go at any moment. That means he's going to roll up in his Mercedes and pimp hat. Okay? And he's really going to show people who's boss. As a matter of fact, let me tell you something. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something right now. I moved in. A couple years after I moved in, they called me up out of the blue, said, oh, we're thinking to maybe sell the house or something. We're going to have a realtor come by and look inside. And I'm like, holy shit, where did this come from? All right. Because remember, move in, stay as long as you want, we'll never raise the rent. Well, all of a sudden I got a realtor looking to buy the house because they're thinking about maybe selling. Okay, whatever. This guy came in. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, people. He blew in, looked around. The first thing he did is he put his hand on this brown cupboard unit I got there that I found at Spring Cleanup in Delta when I first moved to the fucking mainland in 1990. When did I move over here? 94. It was one of the first things that I found at Delta Spring Cleanup. And I brought it home. I was so happy to find it. Because I had nothing, basically, when I moved over from Victoria over here to start a fucking company. Yeah. So I could be the working class and have some respect around town. But besides that point, oh my God. It was him. It was the same man. He just didn't tell me that he was the son. He come in, he put his hand on, well, we need to get rid of this. And I'm like, who the hell are you? You're just supposed to come and look because you're thinking, I don't know. And then he walked off. And I've only seen him a couple times. And honest to God, I swear it's the same man. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, the city allows this. The city wants this to happen because the city needs houses for fucking immigrants coming in with those subsidies with guaranteed incomes to supplement the overinflated housing market. I've been on welfare for a long time when I had my younger kids, right? Over a period of years, you know, I was off there for 6 years. So I know how they block, I know how the government locks you into poverty. So when these immigrants are coming in, they're locked in. They're guaranteed rent. Their money in the bank, right? And then, of course, they get their other programs along the way. Free education. They get their startups to buy their own houses once they've lived here for so long, right? They get preferential renting units, you know, because they're in partnership with the city through some foundation that works for their ethnic cultural group as a whole and represents them. So if you're Syrian, you know, you're going to get a good chance that you're going to get a house in Surrey because that's what the Surrey City Hall is all set up around in terms of housing them. That's why they brought in 10,000 of them in one pop, and they're still bringing them in. If you're Punjabi, well, then you go to the Punjabi fucking department, and those people will help you to find housing. Well, yeah, but we don't like Miss Chorney because, you know, she's got a mouth on her, or she's not working hard enough no more. It's always been her fault. Yeah, well, maybe if there was Surrey spring cleanup, there never would have been a fucking file to open up to begin with, because you couldn't use the yard against me. No. Every year when I lived at Wally's house for 8 fucking years, I used Delta Spring Cleanup like clockwork. That's a really good service to have when you live in a house. But not in Surrey. They use the yard against you. Yeah, you're like my son. Kind of mean.
I'm a mirror and people give me bad.
So I called him mean straight up to his face, because I'm not trying to be two-faced here, right? But I didn't do it in such a brass kind of way where I put him on complete defensive, because he flipped it right back at me and said he was mirroring me. As if. No, I'm mirroring you.
No.
Well, then I mirror your energy. It goes both ways, sir. You just don't like aggressive women, that's all. You just don't like aggressive women, that's all. Unless, of course, they're slinky and sneaky and, you know, do everything on the sly. Right? You know, the quiet ones. You know what they say about those quiet ones, right? At least you know what's coming when I come, because I wear my shit on my sleeve. That's what justice warriors do. Yes, it does.
I like smart, aggressive. If I don't mind aggressive.
Oh, no, he's getting personal with it. Well, first of all, buddy boy, you're married, so don't let your wife catch wind of this fucking video, because I don't think she's going to be too impressed to know what you like. How long have you been married for? I can only imagine. Oh, my Lord. Oh, there you go. He's trying to let down his guard. Oh, it's so cute.
Women, if they're right.
I like women if they're right. I like smart women if they're right. Well, everybody's got an opinion like an asshole. Everybody's got an asshole just like they got an opinion. So whatever you think is right may not be right for somebody else, because you both got fucking assholes, okay? So let's take it with a grain of salt.
Reasonable. You're not reasonable.
I'm not reasonable. Yeah, and he's right. I'm not reasonable, and that's why I need to sit down. And I have to just start writing a lawsuit, people. This situation, I'm not even going to say these people, I'm just going to say this situation is not leaving me any options outside of being a sitting duck and dog meat. And it's just a matter of time before I'm ripped apart, because I do not depend on the government to look after me safely in any kind of capacity. As if I'd want to go to an old folks home and be locked up like an Uncle John, illegally detained and illegally drugged and who knows, and blind as a bat yet to boot. I'd rather take my chances being locked up in a fucking room by my son with his back turned to me, ignoring me, than living in a fucking old folks home because I'm blind. And if that's the best that this man can offer me after I paid off his fucking parents' mortgage, gave up my life for this yard, whether he wants to acknowledge it or not, okay, so that he can even have the audacity to ask for $3 million and get it and then walk away like he gave the property owner, at least for a little while until the house got tore down, something of substance outside of a shell of a house with a bunch of fucking ghosts walking around in it, dead as a doornail, because you know there's a few of them walking around in here. And they were here before I even showed up, because this house was built in 1962, okay? So, you know. All right, Eel. Oh, thank you. Bye-bye. Smart women. Yeah, women that have their certificates stolen from Punjabis that want to insult you. Because he's a representation of what's in the temple. Okay? You think he's the only person who talks like that to their tenants? And then accuse you of being uneducated? The man, I don't want to say is weak, but he's weak, well, one, to stand up against the corruption because he doesn't even acknowledge it. He doesn't acknowledge the corruption, which has yet to be determined, because if you can't write it A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 in point blank form, then everything else becomes null and void because it doesn't make any sense. So you got to make it make sense. One way or another, birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, because I'm not just battling one man. I'm battling a whole temple of men. And some of them are straight up mean. Right? Yeah. Anyway, my son was right about that bin. We gotta keep an eagle eye on it. Oh, yeah.
Just listening.
I gotta go move these bins in. Hold on. Andre! Gave him his medicine, right?
Yeah.
Did you give him a bottle of juice? Just a small bottle.
Yes, I did. When I first woke up.
Okay. Just can you wait till I'm done?
The bin's coming.
Soon. Come here, please. This is almost over. Come here, please. Come here.
I'm coming.
Take it. Turn it off. I'm just gonna move these bins in.
How big's the bin?
I don't know. Well, I don't know, people. I don't know.
Stop.
That's it.
I was trying to figure out how to turn that thing off.
It's okay, you did good. Can I finish? The camera is still rolling. So just go away from me for a minute, okay? Alright? And then that's it. That's day, what is it, 7? We're on day 7. This is day 7. The bin hasn't, when the bin comes, I'll photocopy, I'll record the bin just so that we can see what it looks like. Right? Don't see it as a bag of lemons. See it as an opportunity to get into more fine cut, fucking, what do you call that? Tailoring. I'm not a tailor. I'm a costume maker for strippers. What can I say? Serious. What can I say? But I feel like I have to be a tailor if I was to take it from a child's perspective, right? If you want trying to smooth things over, look at it from a child's perspective. It always seems to help. Right? That's what brings a smile to your face. I mean, I'm not trying to trivialize it. Don't get me wrong. There's no way I'm trying to trivialize this because it's my life and my family's life that is on the line. Yeah. And that's the problem. That's the problem. And they don't see it because they don't want to see it. So I don't know. I don't know what to do other than I gotta get another one of those green books, put on housing lawsuit. Call it the housing one. I don't even know what the hell to call it, like honest to God. Because it's more than just housing. It leads into gang stalking, all kinds of crazy shit. Illegal organ harvesting. Can't stress it enough. Hold on. Okay, so while we wait for this bid, I just want to bring this to the attention. In the United States of America, I guess they're ending a form of welfare called food stamps. And a lot of single people with no dependents under the Democrat Party were eligible. But now that Trump is coming back in, which is technically a Republican Party, right? That's one of the first things that he's going to remove off the books as a cost-saving measure to start balancing the budget, I suppose. Right? So it's attack on the poorest of the poor. But it's also a means to start, I would think, redirecting that traffic, that glut. It would be like a vacuum, right, of unemployed people who are basically on their own to one degree or another in various age groups, whatever the age group, from 19 to, we'll say 70, right, or more, depending on when the retirement age is listed as. They're going to have to go somewhere and eat, people. So are we bringing back in the soup kitchens, the lines, because of the way the economy is going? Like, as in the Depression era? Because we're already losing our housing. Right? And when you're going to be cutting off, I would suspect, millions of people within matters of months, right across the nation, I don't know, that's a lot of people going without access to food. Like, where are they going to get the food from if they don't have the jobs, people?
You have sins, you can't go work, you're not getting a food stamp again.
As you should.
That's crazy.
It's actually not. If I gotta work, why you can't?
Yes, but then you see videos where people are putting in hundreds of applications and are lucky if they get a phone call back for an interview. And that goes on month after month and turns into years for some people. As they're downsizing on their qualifications to settle for jobs with less money, even though it doesn't fit with the criteria of what they went to college for. Because the jobs that were, that they went to college for aren't hiring. Or are folding under by going bankrupt in terms of companies. So what happens is the college certificate, the degree, bachelor's, master's, university, whatever these people have already studied for, are useless. And don't mean anything because they're not getting hired anyway. And they're finding themselves working at Walmart. If they're lucky to get a job.
Especially if you're not dependent. And the thing is...
So anyway. Okay, so I guess the bin is coming now. I'm not going outside though. If they want me, they can call me or something. If they don't want me, they already told me to go away when they thought it was coming at 8:30 in the morning. I went to bed, I laid down to go to sleep. I tried to go to sleep. It took me a while to finally fall asleep. And it was 2:30 when I finally just tried to, right? And I woke up at 6. Okay, so I'm going to finish this video on that bin. Talk about cloud, eh? You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. Right? Latrice Allen, you ain't got one up on my landlords. Hell no. They'll outdo you any day. Anyway, that yard over there doesn't look great. Just my yard. I'm just saying. So, needless to say, I went to sleep at 2:30 this morning. Took me a long time to fall asleep, as I was saying. I woke up at 6. I've been up since 6, and I've been nothing but having panic attacks all day, all morning, everything. And, so, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to title this yet until I listen to it. But Yeah. And oh yeah, I got a lot of eye pressure and a headache. I woke up, it started yesterday and it just,